caddying for him more than I liked caddying for Paul. I love caddying for Paul, don't get me wrong.
How much would you pay to play disc golf? And like, to me, that kind of gives me an idea about like what these elite courses, this is where I'm going back to, it gives me an idea about what these elite courses could or should charge.
If I was to go to Europe and play the Beast, I would happily pay $50 because
you go.
That's the experience of it. Yarva, on the other hand, is one of the most beautiful looking courses in the world, and it would be a dream to play there. If I had one opportunity, only had to play one round there, I honestly would probably pay $100
there you
just
go.
to say I've played Yarva disc golf course.
$100.
Anywhere else though, I've never looked at another course and said, yeah, I would totally pay that much.
For me, if I can play a free course or I can choose to play a course that's $40, I will do the $40 course every now and
Every
then.
so often.
You're right.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Matt, we're on week number 12. We're doing our Nick and Matt show. It's Wednesday night, though. Why are we recording Wednesday night, Matt?
Wednesday night is because what's going on, Nick? You got any?
Can I have my screen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nick's complaining. So he's like
I already complained. I like to see everything that's going on.
yeah, we've got this really cool like multi-view window so he
There
can
we go.
see everything that's going on, including our guest, which we've got a special one tonight. So Nick's why are we doing Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Wednesday night is because I'm traveling to Idlewild, a disc golf pro tour event tomorrow, catching a flight down to Cincinnati, and ultimately it's right there in the north portion of Kentucky.
Yep.
I've never been there. Have you been to Idlewild before?
I have. I went 3 years ago. Yeah, 2017. I played the Wild Open. So it was awesome.
You played.
I did.
I don't know if I'm gonna have.
I attempted to play.
Is that a common theme?
Yeah, I mean,
is that a
wait,
common
so-
thing for disc golfers
So
in general?
if I'm going to pay that much money to play a Pro Tour event, you're damn right I'm going to get my money's worth and play as many shots as I can. It's a bold strategy, but
Divide up your shots thrown and make
Yeah,
them worth more. I got you.
exactly.
So welcome to all of our listeners, our viewers. We've got live audience joining us. We've got people listening in their vehicles driving around. By the way, we've got some really super encouraging messages this week for our show. People are saying they're binging us, which I don't know if we deserve that. It sounds kind of gross, but that's what's happening. And they are enjoying it to the point where they're like, in 1 week, they watched or listened to like nine
episodes.
which is approximately,
Matt, our show's long. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie, it's pretty long.
that means they've listened to about 15 hours of us in 1 week. So, and our guest.
Sorry for your ears.
So,
No, we got some pretty cool topics tonight, though. We're going to talk about Idlewild, obviously. 'cause
Just a
that's the
little bit
next-
here.
Yeah, just a little bit, because that's the next Pro Tour event that's going on this weekend, actually.
and let's not tease the next topic. So, Idlewild.
Okay.
Brody's going there.
Yep.
He's a hot topic right now. Okay.
Mhm.
Paul's there already.
Mhm.
We've seen his Instagram or whatever, or Hannah's posted. They're down there. I think a lot of the top competitors are there.
Yeah.
So this should be a big event. So is Paul going to rebound, if you will? We're going to call it a rebound. Does he usually perform well after a significant loss?
His bounce back percentage is usually pretty good. And if I'm not mistaken, did he win? No, he won 2 years ago. I don't think he went last year to Idlewild.
Yeah,
I think Kevin Jones won it. So Kevin Jones
Ooh.
is looking to make back-to-back wins at Idlewild. Just had a big win at the Mid-America Open at Harmony Bends.
Mm.
And so he's looking to capitalize on another big event for him. And yeah, I mean,
Did you
like
see?
you said, every player is going to be there.
Yeah, and did you see Zach Arlinghouse? Now, I've interviewed him
Mhm.
through our other platform, Kids Disc Golf,
Yep.
because incredible athlete at a junior level. I'm talking like since age 13,
Yeah.
14, 15. He's like actually competing out of his mind at the Idlewild tournament
Pretty
every
sure.
year.
Yeah, he was on lead card last year, I think.
And this year he's
And
on feature.
Yeah, dude, he's a
So
young
keep an
guy,
eye out
yeah.
for him.
Yep, he was the TD pick, I think.
And-
I think the feature card is Kevin Jones,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Who are the other two?
I don't
Eagle.
remember.
I'm pretty sure Eagle. And
People are yelling at us right
yeah, there's
now.
one
How do
other.
you not know?
I know, right?
We'd have to go to Disc Golf Pro Tour. So that is happening this week. Who FPO do you think is going to win? Katrina seems like she's not satisfied at all.
Mhm.
She's bothered with it. She's a competitor. She needs to perform better. And that is something that she is looking to do. Does she perform well at Idlewild? I don't remember looking at her stats there. I'm not really prepared to talk about that, but Paige obviously is going to be a
Yeah.
contender.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Paige Pierce. And no, I think Katrina and Paige battled it out last year, and I think Paige had made this humongous putt in hole 17 to kind of,
Yes.
you know, not shut the
Momentum.
door. Yeah, huge momentum, exactly.
Well, so it's hard, just like in the Pro Open side.
Emerson Keith. He was
Okay,
the
that's right.
sponsor pick.
Speaking of, and I don't want to take a long time on this, did you see the Photoshop of all the touring men
Yeah.
changed to the opposite gender?
Yeah.
And
was-
the same for the FPO changed to the opposite.
It was
It-
awesome because if you saw Hannah's, it looks exactly like her
Her cousin,
Josh.
Jinx.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it was. I actually sent her the picture, and I was like,
I
"Yo,
was like,
when did
crazy.
Josh start playing disc golf?"
Crazy. So
Yeah,
you don't
that's
have to
pretty
tell
cool.
me what she thought about it, but I was wondering when a
Yeah.
pro disc golfer sees all of a sudden them as the opposite gender, what does that feel like? So that was incredible.
Yeah.
You can see the Jomez posted the link to go see that. I don't know who made those, but it's
Yeah, I forget
hilarious.
who it was.
So that was something that wasn't even in our topic for tonight, but go check that out. It's totally funny. Oh, and you know what I just realized, Nick? We don't have any of our
No comments.
no comments.
I was gonna
coming
say
up.
something, but I didn't want to keep complaining about how we are lacking in our.
So
it's
we don't know.
Wednesday. We
What
don't
are
really
our
do this
live
on
guests
Wednesdays, but yeah.
So here's the deal. If you were live and you were commenting, would you just resubmit your comments? Because live, they come into us. Anyways, that's pretty funny. So let's talk about real quick in the next like 6-7 minutes here. MVP Open. It just made an announcement. We always bring up Maple Hill. So here's
We
what,
do. How
okay.
can you know? We're literally 5
We're
minutes away
here.
from
It's
it,
an
man.
amazing course. It's a
Yeah.
bucket list course. MVP Open made an announcement. Actually, the Disc Golf Pro Tour made the announcement that MVP Open is shifting back. I think it was 2 weeks. It was swapping places with the Discraft. What is it? The
GMC?
Green Mountain
Yeah.
Championships, GMC
Yeah,
up in Vermont. And I talked to Steve actually just a little bit before the show here,
Mhm.
Steve Dodge, and I said, "Hey, the reason for that is so that they can make it into New England and quarantine. And technically, traveling in New England is okay. So there's a 2-week period between Ledgestone
So they can go straight from Illinois
to Vermont
Yeah, Jeff Springer posted you could go straight from Illinois
to Vermont.
to Vermont and then quarantine up
Quarantine,
there and then be
yes.
able to play the event. And he's trying to set up this kind of like players bubble up
Cool.
there to where, you know,
At the resort.
at the resort itself
Nice.
so that players can do kind of like your basic activities and make sure that everything's good with practicing the course and stuff like that.
So that is happening. They swapped. So that pushed it back. And unfortunately for me, I have to make a decision now. It literally falls right at the beginning of a family vacation.
Yeah.
Now, vacations are hard to come by during this time, and it all was able to work out. And now I go, do I push it back so I can have 3 days
Yeah.
at the tournament, help film, obviously hang out with some cool pro disc golf talent, meet your friends, you know, that you've been able to see out on tour. And it might work out. Talk to Steve about it. He's excited. And let's do this. We've got 5 minutes, Nick, to talk about this one thing before we bring on our guest, Mike Shue. Okay.
Yeah.
And by
up,
the
Joe
way,
Yak?
this is a radio professional, a personality. We're gonna build it up. He is a celebrity in the area of his listening audience, and that is, and we're seeing him in the green
Yeah,
room.
he's laughing in the background. He's like, don't hype it up. He's a 1,045 rated golfer, disc golfer, and
You should
I'm just-
see.
yeah.
You should see his
Nah.
skills. So he's going to be coming on in just 5 minutes. But what I want to do is take the moment here to talk about, did anybody see what Steve Dodge posted? Did you see what Steve Dodge posted today?
I did
this
I'm-
morning.
I feel like there's very few disc golfers that are connected to Facebook that have not seen.
So what
What
was your,
Steve Dodge
literally
posted.
just tell me what your initial reaction was when you saw it. What was your initial, and I can tell you mine.
Well, I thought people were getting paid $100 to volunteer, so I was like, damn, I might just quit the event and start volunteering full time. But no, then
Which-
obviously I read it and figured out that it is actually pay $100 and you get this sweet players kind of spectator pack, volunteer pack, and everything like that. And you are able to watch the event because no spectators are allowed. So I'll let you kind of get into it. I want to look up quickly.
I'll tell
what-
you my initial
yeah,
reaction.
yeah.
Actually, my initial reaction was actually like the same as yours. I was like, I literally was breezing by and I was like, oh, $100 to volunteer. Or to get $100. It seemed like $100, and
Yeah.
I'm giving you $100. We're shopping for volunteers. And then I think later I saw it like pull up again, like a comment saying, someone was like, this is horrible. And I'm like, what are they talking about? So I go back and it's literally, you have to pay money to volunteer. Like, give us $100 so you can volunteer. And then so I was like, uh-oh. And I'm just going to tell you, my reaction immediately is, I grew up fairly under the spotlight. And someday you guys can meet me and get to know me closer. I felt like I was always under the spotlight of like how I was living my life. And I always want to protect against how people view people. Cause I'm like, you can't, we do a segment called Judge That Disc Golfer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like, you can't
I know,
judge
right?
people by like just the way they post things online or what they say. Like you can't, you got to get to know them. But here's the thing. I talked to Steve and I said, Steve, what is going on? And I said, I actually think, you know what? We're gonna have to push this topic
We are.
to like the end of the show.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do with it, but here's the deal.
You got a 30-second timer. Go.
Yes, 30-second timer. Here's the deal. You're not actually paying $100 to volunteer. What's happening is you're paying $100 to spectate, and because attendance of spectators is not allowed, that is your only opportunity to view. And so it is a ticket to watch a front row. And here's my 10-second closeout. In the future, you will laugh that you were able to spend only $100 to have a front row seat at a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. That's my hot take. We will bring this topic back up.
Yeah.
I'm going to draw an
We'll bring it
arrow
back.
to say back here, we will talk about it again. So,
And then we kind of have.
oh,
a quick-
and by the way,
Yep.
you get a player pack or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a sweet
yeah.
player pack.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. You get this large, very large spectator pack, and it's retail value over everything that you're getting is over $100. So
So you can sell it.
don't just look at the link that Steve had posted. Actually, click on it, read what it says before you kind of make a judgment call. Because I know there are so many people out there who are like, "Oh my God, pay $100 to go spectate
Yeah.
or go volunteer disc golfing." But we'll talk more about that later. We're gonna do the internet disc golf questions. Obviously,
Later.
gonna play Judge That Disc Golfer with
Yes.
Mike, and then we kind of have this cool. Infinite just posted for the first half of 2020 the top 50 sellers discs, and talking about that, we'll get into the disc golf collector market because over this last year, the collector's market is huge. It's insane what people are doing, buying a $20 disc and then selling it for like $250. So we'll talk about that after. But
There's a lot of comments coming on. Save those for towards the end of the show. I
Yeah.
want to come back to these. People are obviously sharing the opposite opinion of paying to volunteer.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I get it, but it's all about perspective.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping to share some. And Nick's going to share maybe the
Yeah.
opposite side. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Everyone has a
there's going to
different
be a
opinion.
lot of things we agree on, and then there's going to be different things that we obviously differ on. That's just
the-
how
That's life.
this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just how this kind of thing goes. Matt, you've met our guest.
Mike Shu. And now guess what? I had to learn his last name, not phonetically. I had to learn it by audible. I had to hear it because the way it's spelled is HSU. So let's go ahead and bring him in. His name is Mike Shu. And here he is on screen. But let's say hi to everybody. How are you doing, Mike?
It's H as in shoe, S as in shoe, U as in
Nice,
uvula.
nice.
Always remember that.
And so I don't know. I can't even ask you how you learned it growing up. You must have got asked all the time, right? I mean, what's your last name? No, you're spelling it wrong.
First day of school every year, complete nightmare. You know, rolling through the all the Sullivans and the Fitzgeralds, and then it was Mike Hussu, and I had to raise my hand and go, "It's Shu, please, just skip me, just skip me." You know?
So welcome on the show. So let me we kind of already teased it out there, but you are a radio personality, or actually we should ask. I mean, some things have changed this year, but that's how everybody knows you. Can you tell us a little bit about your history in the radio industry? Literally, like just maybe the recap of like, here's how it all started for me. Here's where I got to. Maybe you can share what was the listening audience size, like in general? How many people were within your listening area, all that kind of stuff. Would you mind sharing your history of the radio industry?
Yeah, I got into radio. It was an interest of mine from a very, very young age. We used to do a lot of road trips, my parents and myself, and we had just an AM band radio in the 77 Datsun we used to drive around. Yeah, I'm old. And it sounded like the guys that we traveled from state to state, and my folks would, try to find stations as we traveled around, and the guys on the radio sounded like they were having a blast. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. And finally in high school, I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and that's when they had a weekend high school program. And from there, I got an internship at WBCN in Boston, and I interned with Charles Laquadera and the Big Mattress and met some really amazing and talented people doing that. And after I graduated from North Adams State College, I worked in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia, in radio down there. And During the 90s, a lot of radio stations, like now, got sold. And the station I was at was one of them. So it gave my wife and I a chance to move back here to Massachusetts. And I was lucky enough to get a job at WAAF part-time. And then I weaseled my way into the Hillman Morning Show, which I did for a few years. And then they let me loose at night. And I used to do a metal show called Harder Faster, which was a lot of fun. And then they put me on in the midday, and I did that for 10 years at WAAF, the middays. And then they put me back on the morning show for the last couple of years of the Hillman Morning Show on WAAF. Wow. And then I took over afternoons after Greg Hill went to WEEI. And then, unfortunately, someone ponied up the money that Entercom wanted for WAAF. And that kind of ended my career and Mistress Carrie's career and a lot of other people, at WAAF anyway. But I was there for about 20 years.
Dang.
I've been in radio.
Did you have the voice
30.
for radio, or did you develop that? Just out of curiosity, because people now are going to be listening to our voice in the podcast, and they're going to tell a pretty significant difference from when you're talking and when we're talking. If I try to talk like you, I'm going to have Did you have to develop that? Were you born with that?
What you need to do is smoke 2 Marlboro 25 packs a day and drink at least a half a bottle of Jack Daniels before noon. No, I had, I guess I had some kind of voice because when I went to Connecticut School of Broadcasting, I remember one of the instructors there, his name was Tyler, just the one name, the one radio guy name. He worked at WHJY in Providence. He said, you know what, you've got a good voice, so you should really try to work on that and nurture it. And so they worked on I had a little bit of a Boston accent. They worked on that and totally got rid of any kind of identifying character I had in my voice. So now it's, but yeah, the cigarettes, the Philip Morris company and the Jack Daniels company definitely helped out.
How much joking, and are you being facetious with that? How much is that? Is that a small percentage, large percentage, fully joking or not?
Well, I think, yeah, I don't want anyone to get the idea that smoking is a good thing, because it's not. And I haven't smoked a cigarette in 16 years now.
Good for you.
And it is very addictive because I get cravings to smoke every single day still, at least once. But I think, yeah, that had something to do with it. I was also in a band in the 90s, so I may have rearranged my vocal cords by screaming into a microphone for like 10 years. And so there was a lot of factors that went into it. I can't say that I do a lot of things a lot of other people who use their voices work do. I don't like sip cups of hot tea with honey or herbal stuff. I rarely, and this is just my fault, I rarely like warm up, the way I should before I do any kind of voice work. But if you've, it doesn't, these days, I don't think it matters if you have like this big booming radio voice. As long as you've got a great personality and you're a great storyteller, and you just have good character, I don't think your voice really matters. I don't think the quality of your voice matters. As long as you have something that people want to hear and they're entertained by, and you can entertain people, you could have a voice. Like I said, I interned with Charles Laquadera on WBCN. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember who.
I'm not super familiar.
I can talk to my parents about it.
Yeah, you could probably talk to your parents about it. But he did not have a radio voice. He had kind of a whiny voice like this, and but he was a funny guy. He's a great storyteller. He was very creative. So that was mainly, you don't really need the big voice. I mean, if you're going to try to do commercials or you want to be the guy that does the trailers and go in a world, and
someone
stuff
mentioned,
like that.
let me just say this. Someone mentioned to me, because they heard we were going to have you on as a guest, and they said that you are good at or familiar with doing voice impressions in general. You just let out a few there. Do you just do that on the fly, or do you actually work on any specific ones? Do you have any in your repertoire of voices?
I don't think I'm a good guy with impressions. I just do them on the fly. And if I can get it, like I used to work with a guy named Kevin Barbary, who was on the Hillman Morning Show on WAAF. And he is, when it comes to that, he's a genius. He can listen to you for 10 minutes and have you down. I think he may be an alien. It may be some kind of, alien power he has, but he was amazing at that. I just kind of throw things like I can't do an impression. I can do like a 1-word impression or something like that, but I can't sustain it for like minutes.
Awesome.
So outside the radio world, you've gotten into our beloved sport of disc golf. Through all kind of like the busyness that you've done, how did you get into the sport?
Well, I live like 5 minutes from Newton Hill here in Worcester.
And just for our listeners, Newton Hill is only about 10 minutes away from Maple Hill. So just for regional purposes to our listeners. So yeah, Newton Hill, go ahead.
Yeah, we're truly blessed here in central Massachusetts with a great choice in disc golf courses that are close by. So yeah, I used to walk my dog over there. I used to just take walks over there. It's a beautiful little park. When there's, there aren't people camping out there, early
this is a city course. Yes.
And it is in the middle of a city. So you have to keep that in mind. But I used to see guys playing there and it looked like a lot of fun. And it took me a couple of years to get off my butt and just go on to Amazon. And I bought a Discraft, 4-disc starter kit with one of those little Discraft weekend bags. And I just went out there and started throwing. And then I started watching stuff on YouTube and how to throw. And then there was a lot of great people who really helped me when I started. And you know what, maybe mentioning them is probably not a good idea because I'm still really terrible, but I have to, I play with these guys every weekend. Kevin McCormick, who's kind of like the caretaker of Newton Hill Disc Golf, and he just put up, him and a team just put up those new red baskets there. I don't know if you guys had a chance.
I finally played it a couple days ago. Maybe Sunday.
Yeah.
The first time I played them was this morning with him, and I was cursing him the whole time, saying, "Why do you do this? Why do you hate us? Why are you putting this basket
stereotype
here
disc golfer right there?" I mean, I think we all feel the same way. So you discovered it in Worcester,
but in Worcester, right up the street, and I just started throwing, and so guys like Kevin McCormick, and I don't know if you know Rick Mahoney.
We call him Rick. Yes, because like there's a recreational division, and so we called him Rec Rick.
Rick. He taught me a lot, and then I don't know if you guys know Gary Sear. He actually took some time to come out and really got with me and taught me how to drive and get my form down and all that stuff. And then and he gave me a few discs that he thought would work well for me. So that's the thing I love about disc golf is that it seems to be very inclusive. Like the people who are playing and who have been playing a long time, if you're new, they are more than willing to help you out and kind of show you the way and get you into the sport. And that's one of the things I really loved about it. All the people I've met, for the most part, have been really, really great about putting up with my terrible playing.
Can I say, I remember, so last year, or was it 2 years ago, time is crazy, especially during COVID. We did a kind of a charity / bring UNWAF disc golf event out west of Maple Hill area. And last minute, a lot of things had to change, but a lot of people enjoyed that. That's where I first met you. And I will say the same thing. Everybody around, they're excited to see you as a radio personality, but we're all disc golfers. And I think you probably experienced that. Can I actually ask about that? So considering Massachusetts, the reach of your radio show as it was, when people saw you on the course, what was that like? You said they were inclusive, but did anybody be like, "Oh my goodness, I know you," and what was that like? Are disc golfers generally cool in that sense, or was it kind of like, "Hey, I just want to play my round"?
No, I mean, there was a lot of people that day. Of course, we promoted it heavily that I was going to be there, and I tried to get the station to promote it as much as possible. Let me tell you that I had to hold a gun to a lot of people to actually get them to do this event. I've been trying to push them to do a disc golf event, and we were only kind of like half sponsoring it anyway. I mean, that was as much as I could get with bullets I had. And but no, like everybody, that I ran into there, everybody that I run into and they say, "Oh, you're Mike Shue from the radio," is just really nice and quite honestly, that doesn't happen a lot. So I actually kind of enjoy it, but no, everybody's very cool, and what I like is that after they say, "Oh, you're Mike Shue from the radio," it's like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Oh, okay," and then they'll say something like, "Oh, well, what are you throwing here?" And it gets right
Yeah.
back into disc golf, you know. And it's that's what I love about it. You know, people are just so chill and laid back, and they really want you to do well. That's what I've experienced
And
so
I
far.
think it is such an incredible. We could do a whole show on how easily and accessible and how awesome it is playing with important people, celebrity, professional disc golfers. It is very cool. It's not like any other sport at this point in its history. Can I ask though, bring it back real quick? You mentioned the radio show having to hold a gun to their head to promote it at all. Can I ask, because I have actually I've heard some of your show, and when they would your co-hosts or whoever it was, they would rib you, they'd make fun of you. Hey, you're gonna go play your disc golf game or whatever on the air. Can I ask you, like, in general, people make fun of it, and I've heard it happen on your show because they're probably just picking on you, not necessarily the sport.
Oh, yeah.
But why do you think that's the case? Why do you think people feel like it's a funny sport? Do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, I think it's because that there are certain things that are related to the sport. There's a certain perception.
Feel free to share your
sport.
perspective openly.
Okay, I know this is a family-friendly show, so I'll try to be as careful as possible. But there is a heavy connection to, say, craft beer and possibly craft cannabis. And so people obviously automatically think they see a disc golfer out there and they're throwing a disc, that guy's stoned. You know, that's like an immediate thing. And, you know, look at where we live. We live in New England. It's all about the Patriots. You know, people look at disc golf and they're like, you know, oh, that's not even a sport. And I'm like, well, you know, neither is ball golf. You know, ball golf, you can see the thing with ball golf, right? And by the way, they hate it when you say
here they
ball
come.
golf.
If anybody's watching that likes golf, they're here now.
Yes. But yeah, you know, I think it's because of just the nature of throwing frisbees and what that has meant through time, through the 70s and the 80s, and it's related to the hippie culture and stuff like that. So, and I also think there's a little bit of you know, it's just they don't know what the sport's about. I'm sure if some of those people that were making fun of me or the sport or whatever got in and played and met some of the people I met, they'd feel a lot differently. You know, I mean, there's also a lot of ball busting that goes on during play, as you guys know. So it's
all good,
you know. But I think there's a certain connection between disc golf and certain other things that lead people to believe that, you know, we're forming drum circles and we're playing hacky sack and all that stuff.
Kind of the persona that we have in the disc golf world, and that kind of, you know, what you just said kind of answered my next question was, you know, pretty much what does disc golf mean to you? But obviously the, you know, friendly aspect to it, the activities that you do while you're playing disc golf. I mean, did that kind of come right off the bat? Did you think of disc golf like that before you started playing?
No, it looked like a lot of fun. Once I started playing, I started discovering, you know, what a lot of people, you know, did and used as swing oil or whatever you want to call it. And that was something that I realized that, well, I don't play as well when I partake in a lot of that stuff. But to me, disc golf is like, if I couldn't play disc golf, I would probably do something terrible and end up in the news.
Interesting.
It is much like, I also meditate. So it is much like meditation, where I can go out and I can take my mind off of everything and just focus on my game. And like, I'm not good at all, but I can just get into the moment where I'm playing and that's it. And it really helps me organize my thoughts. It calms me down. It makes me feel good. And that is really the number one reason why I like to play disc golf, because I just feel good playing. Yeah. I feel good. And I'm sad when I'm done with a round, you know, and I dream about disc golf. I've woken up throwing. I don't know if you guys have those dreams.
I'm not there yet, but
I've woken myself up like with just my arm extended, you know, and a couple of times my wife has been like, you were swinging at me last night in your sleep. And I was like, no, I think I was dreaming about, you know, 13 Newton Hill. And,
well,
you know,
you were
so
talking...
it's just something I really love. So that's what it is. That's why I like it. It helps me just deal with life.
You are relating. You said before we brought you on in the green room, and I hope you don't mind. You said I'm probably the most like, how did you put it? The least qualified. There you go.
Yeah.
Most unqualified person to bring on the show.
Yeah.
And if obviously if you look at our guests, we brought on a lot of. I would consider them either powerhouse or very deep into the game in a professional sense. But we wanted to bring someone on who had some status, let's say, and I know you're very humble about that, but some status in an area where disc golfers are, and you were introduced to the sport, as you said, and you were welcomed, and we wanted to hear your perspective coming from outside to in. Whereas Nick and I learned about this game 14 years ago. Nick, maybe a little less than that, but
less than that.
But we're interested in your perspective. And so let's just get to know you a little bit better. You said it's awesome, the things that you do, you dream about it. We've all probably been there. How many putts from the circle's edge, if you understand the circle, 10 meters out, we give you 10 putters. How many of them are likely to go in the basket from that position? About 10 meters out, 33 feet or whatever.
If I've had a couple of beers, and that helps me not think about it so much. I know you guys know how important that is. Maybe 4.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. It depends. I try not. That's my problem. I overthink everything.
Yeah.
So
don't overthink the putt. Just get up there and just do it. My one of my buddies, actually, a local around here, texted me, wanted to ask a question.
Wow. Wait a second.
If you have my number, you can text me and get answers just like that. And so I'm gonna shout him out really quick. Joseph Jaskis on Facebook. He said, ask him what happened to LB and did he ever try to play disc golf? He said, LB worked with you. And then I asked, who is LB? And he goes, Lyndon Byers, player for the Bruins. So.
Yeah. I worked, LB used to be Cam Neely's, I guess you could say, protector on the ice back in the day in the 80s, early 90s, and those great championship runs the Bruins had, when Ray Bourque was on the team. But LB was one of the NHL's most fiercest, I guess you would say, goons. His job was to get out there. Anybody that messed with Cam Neely, he'd take him out. And then he was the sports guy on the Hillman Morning Show for like 20 years. And LB, unfortunately, he's lived 5 lifetimes to our single lifetime that we're not even finished with yet. So he's in rough shape. And he's talked about this on the air, so I'm not really speaking out of turn. But, he's had both hips replaced a couple of times. He's broken like every bone in his body. He has drank oceans of vodka. So he's lived the life, and now he's kind of paying the bill for all that. And so after he left the station, he's trying to take care of himself now, which is the number one thing. And I'm glad he's doing that. So that's what he's doing now. He's doing okay. He's just dealing with some physical issues that I think any professional athlete, especially hockey players, deal with at this point in their life, just trying to keep their bodies together and trying to make it happen. But he's doing all right. I've spoken to him just a couple of times, and I've always invited him to come out to play disc golf, but I'll tell you right now, the way his knees and his back he'd last maybe a couple of baskets and then he'd have to just sit down and have a few beers.
Yeah. You're talking about the athletes and kind of how their body experiences, especially back then for hockey players, they had less padding than they do nowadays. And so and I'm assuming the play was probably more physical. I've never been a big hockey person, but I'm assuming the play back when he was a player was definitely more physical. You could get away with more than you can nowadays, I would assume. So yeah, taking a toll on your body. I can't imagine what that's like. I mean, I'd get absolutely destroyed playing on the ice with any legitimate hockey player.
Okay. Good. No one had anything to say. I'm usually cutting people off. And so I'm like, I'm just going to sit there
cut myself off.
And I'm going to let that sound just ride out. Okay. So let me ask you this. Is there somebody that you regularly play with? I think you mentioned a local, obviously, but is there someone who's like your disc golf buddy, like who does that with you? Or do you do solo rounds often? Or what is that like for you?
I just try to play whenever I can, but usually every weekend it's myself and Kevin McCormick, who I mentioned earlier, and Rick Mahoney, and then my friend Tim LaSalle, who he had played a lot. He helped build the Bufhamville course, and with Jake
Oh,
Gould
okay, yeah.
and a
Can I
couple
shout
other
out to
guys.
Jake Gould,
Gould's
by the
another.
way? Jake Gould he's the
Yeah.
one responsible for this show tonight. I didn't tell you that. Jake Gould, another local. Now, to all of our national audience and
Yeah.
whoever else is listening, they're like, we don't know all this relationship, but just take it in. This is the disc golf community you're probably a part of as well. If you're listening to the show, these things are happening there as well. But Jake Gould reached out and said, you know who'd be a great guest on the show? I was thinking it'd be Mike Shue. And so that was about a month ago, and we
Sweet.
finally made it happen. So shout out to him. But so you have these people you play with regularly. You've made yourself
Yeah.
a disc golfer in the community just like anybody else.
Yeah, and and every weekend I play with the same guys. There's another guy named Jason Erikalian who started playing when I started playing. I think I've only been playing for like 4 years or 5 years or whatever. Not very long. I wish I had started a lot earlier,
Yeah.
like you guys. But so these are the same guys. It's the same group. Mike Lucy, who used to work over at Maple Hill, used to call us the Breakfast Club because we were always there at
Wow.
7 a.m. because we all got kids
Yeah.
and stuff. And so we get there early, we get our round in, and then we'd go home and deal with what we had to deal with. So we were always the first people there. And it's the same guys all the time. I mean, there's different people, of course. And whenever I can get out there and throw a solo round. But yeah, it's usually the same group of old dudes out there sweating
Nice.
and walking up and
Yeah.
down the hills.
You
But,
mentioned you had, I think you just said it. I literally missed it. Like as you were saying, you said you do have kids, right?
I have a daughter. She just
Okay,
turned 16.
Has she thought anything about your new hobby over the past 4 or 5 years? Does she think it's cool, or does she have friends who do it?
I tried so hard to get her into it. And with kids, you don't want to, you don't want to force them to do anything. It's like piano lessons. You're taking piano lessons and then they end up hating the piano, So I tried to get her out there. I bought her a couple of discs and we played Pinks at Pyramids and I took her up to Newton Hill and she tried. It's just not her thing. She's not really impressed. She kind of like
That's
rolls
fair.
her eyes. She's 16, so it's like, oh, disc golf, whatever.
My dad,
Yeah.
I don't want to do whatever my dad's doing. So
So you eat, sleep, breathe disc golf at this point. You talk about how you dream about it. Do you follow the pro scene at all? Do you like watching disc golf, like YouTube channels or anything like that? Do you follow along?
I don't very often, but when I have time, yeah, I definitely try to watch a little, mostly to see what those guys are doing and looking at their form and, just seeing how what they can work on. And it's also nice to see the guys at that top level hitting trees.
Yeah.
Also, it makes me feel better about myself.
Very good.
So it's very encouraging.
That's
100%.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like, yes, I want to play with you to watch you be human as
Yeah.
well.
That's what I love about them going to play wooded courses. Like open courses, yeah, I've seen you throw it 500 feet a bunch of times, but when you're at a wooded course, it's fun because they do sometimes hit that first available tree that we've hit hundreds of times. So,
Okay,
Mhm.
before I had one last quick question,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I
Same.
don't want it to turn into something really long here because we're not really a radio show. We're also not advertisers, but you being in the radio industry for as long as you were, you said 20 years or so.
Well,
Okay,
together 30.
so a long
30,
time.
over a little over 30.
Radio thrives off of advertising. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is literally the revenue stream is advertising. So you
Absolutely.
understand the importance of that then. And I think even on your recent podcast, you have found some form of sponsorship or advertising. Just out of curiosity, with you understanding how important it is, do you have any ideas, just in general, how disc golf can be more invested in advertising? And how do you get those, were you a part of securing advertising? What do you promise to them? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get disc golf to that same place where we say, hey, you're going to have 1 million views on this? I mean, is that what's important?
Well, yeah, I over those years, I've been involved in trying to secure advertising and work with advertisers. And I think the best way to go about it is to make someone, or to just not sell somebody so hard. People know when you're trying to sell them. And if you can tell a story that's relatable, I think that would be more appealing to people if you want to try to get them interested in your product or disc golf. I think it's just a matter, with disc golf especially, I think it's a matter of getting people out there just to throw around. Because once they get that feeling, and I'm just totally basing this on the feeling I got, once they get that feeling and then they become addicted like that, once they find out how much fun it is, and once they find out what the people are like and how friendly they are, and it doesn't matter what level you're throwing at. I think that is something that's important, is trying to get people to try it. If we had like more events where, like do you still run kids disc golf?
Yes, and I'm wearing the hat right now. Yes, I still do.
Yeah.
We promote. This year obviously has been like a weird pause year, but as far as, yes, we do. We do promote that for the youth.
We should do something like that for like adult disc golf, like for adults, like a camp or something, because that's a great program. That's where you want to get the kids in there, and it helps grow the sport. And but if we could like appeal to adults who are like me, who saw people playing and were interested in doing it, but don't know where to take the next step.
To that point, and I don't want to put you.
Point. I like that.
I don't want to put you in the same bucket as my dad, because the ages, I don't know if they line up or not. But here's the deal. My dad found the sport a year ago, and I've been playing it for 14 years. And a year ago, he's like, maybe I'll go out and try it. And he is hooked beyond all hook, just like you're saying. I mean, I think he's dreaming it. He's probably listening to this show, whether or not it's live right now. He's listening, and he's thinking about where's his next tournament. And he's even talking to me about, hey, I might be driving 3 hours to go play a tournament. What do you think? And I'm like, oh my goodness, like you were as hooked as I was 14 years ago. Yeah. So to your point, yes, but that introduction, do you think, and let me ask this take on it, because everyone kind of agrees like, oh, let's introduce more people, but what do you think that's going to do for the sport? If all of a sudden and COVID-19 actually is proving that this is true, manufacturers are booming right now, do we want a lot of people to come to the sport? How is it going to change it?
Well, I mean, do you not want a lot of people to come to the sport? I understand why you wouldn't want that, because, I see it, on Newton Hill. There's tons of people out there playing, more than when I started playing. And a lot of people see that and go like, oh, it's so crowded now and stuff. But, you want that. You kind of want that. You want people to be aware of it. I mean, it depends how you want to grow the sport. Do you want to be like WWE or do you want to be like, Major League Baseball? I mean, I welcome it. I mean, I just want to share. To me, it's something like I'd love to share. Like people always ask me about it, and I would say, well, then come out with me. Come out and play with me. Come out with me and my friends and just throw. You don't have to throw like every hole. I just did this with my brother-in-law a few weeks ago at this private course out in Greenfield. And I was just like, just come out. You can use some of my discs. And he loved it. He fell in love with it. To me, it's something I want to share, that good feeling. And you can always say, well, we should increase the size of the purses and stuff like that. But
I just wanted your perspective on that. And that's exactly what I was looking for.
It's tough, growing the sport in the sense of like what Mike's talking about is just bringing people into it. I've been playing for, 7+ years at this point now. And I have a bunch of friends who really finally got into the sport this year. During the whole pandemic, they're looking for things to do. And now they're all obsessed with it. They're buying discs. They're trying to buy certain Discraft ones because those are the ones that I'm throwing. Those are the ones that Paul's throwing. And it's insane. So for the casual aspect, I love growing the sport. And I think there's a difference between growing the sport casually and then growing the sport competitively. Like that's just two completely different topics when you're talking about sponsors and advertisement and where money's coming in compared to just bringing out a local buddy. It's easy, like Mike said, hey, use a couple of my discs. Come out, don't throw every hole, throw 6, maybe we'll play 9 holes, go find a short course or whatever, so they actually can have that feeling of, wow, I can get to the hole in 3 or 4 shots if I do it correctly. You don't go out and play Maple Golds for the first round. But
have you ever played Maple Golds, Mike?
No.
Can we ask what course you primarily play if you go to Maple Hill?
Well, we usually do reds. Sometimes we do reds, and then we go to the white in the back. And red, white, and blue every now and then, which I really enjoy. I have not played golds or blues all the way through.
If you want to continue to enjoy the sport, don't play golds.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Speaking of, a lot of what our questions were on the Facebook post Matt had posted earlier, people are obsessed with your bag. And there's something in specific, the putter of your choice, that everyone's asking about. So what is it? Give us kind of a rundown. What does Mike Shue throw?
I get a lot of flack for throwing the Aerobee Arrow, and I blame Rick Mahoney for this. He was throwing the arrow, and I love it. Ever since the first time I threw it, it's a lot of people call it the dog dish. They call it the lid. It's like the lid off a 5-gallon coleslaw bucket. And I'll tell you, during team challenges, one of the best things about team challenges is the food. And if you're out of plates, the arrow makes it an amazing plate. You can put a lot of food on it.
That
it
was a
won't bend.
question.
You just
That was a question we had
water.
last week. What have you used your disc golf equipment for, non-disc golf related? So there you go. And for those who are listening,
Yes.
you mentioned describing lid of bucket and all that. Like, look it up if you have it. Just punch it. We have people commenting right now saying how bad that disc is. So he loves it. I've seen other guys who have used it.
Because you know what, Matt? It's only because they don't know how to wrangle
That
it.
could be it.
They don't know how to
That's-
throw it.
We're going with that one.
And they're like, oh, I can't throw this. This disc sucks. No, you just don't know how to throw it. All right. I can make some amazing throws with this disc. You just gotta speak to it quietly. You gotta be nice to it. You gotta say, all right, baby, you gotta get around this one.
Find those chains. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we host this big, kind of introducing everyone to disc golf, this big camp that we're going to do eventually, Mike is going to teach us how to throw the arrow.
Can I just say
I will totally take the arrow class.
that would be
for you.
very cool.
Absolutely.
The disc golf
Marking it
camp, by
down.
the way, right before we move into judge that disc golfer, the disc golf camp, I've done that. And what it is going to Am Worlds, because you get a week-long disc golf competition. Now, whether competition excites you or not, you're playing with 200 or 300 other people just like you, and every day you're playing disc golf. Even after your competitive round, you go find another course and you play and you camp, and it's wonderful. If you ever have a chance to go to Am Worlds, you definitely should. So,
well, we need an experience like that. If you want to grow the sport organically and truly turn people onto it, that's exactly what we need. More of that. Absolutely.
all right.
I think
So,
there could definitely be some really cool ideas without just having kind of this, 3 or 4 day thing, Thursday through Sunday. You just, hey, Thursday, everyone's going to play Newton Hill. Friday, everyone's going to play the Shorts at Buff. And then you kind of end the weekend at, say, Pyramids at Maple Hill. I don't know.
all right, Nick, set it up.
There could be a ton of cool things with it.
All right. What we're going to do at this point, do you have anything you would like to say before we move into the game? Like just about generally your disc golf experience? Is there anything else you want to say?
I just love playing, and if you see me out there and you want to play, you want to join in, I'm all for it. It's a great sport. I've met a lot of awesome people through it, and like I said, if you got a friend who's asking about it, definitely help them out, loan them some of your discs, take them out with you, and show them the ropes, and it's a great time, and I'm glad I can share that with everybody.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for being on the show. We're going to jump into Judge That Disc Golfer. This is one of our live audience, and I think even those who listen later, they enjoy this tremendously. It's okay for us to pick on the disc golfer a little bit, but they are our friends, so we want to be a little gentle, but we can judge that disc golfer. So here we go. Let's get right into it.
Judge That Disc Golfer, the game show where you judge a disc golfer you've never met.
All right. Hey, man, my name is Matt. Thanks for coming on the show. What's your name?
No problem. I'm Brent.
All right, Brent, let's get to know you a little bit. How long have you been playing disc golf?
For about 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay, 3 years. In those 3 years, have you ever played a tournament?
No.
Any competition at all, leagues or anything?
No, just with my friends.
Okay,
Yeah.
just with your friends for about 3 years. Lucky to have Maple Hill. Is this your local course?
Yeah, we just moved out of Worcester, so I've been playing in the Worcester area for about 3 years.
Okay, at Maple Hill, what's your favorite layout, would you say?
The whites. It's a little challenging, but also you got the easy holes.
Perfect. So, you said you haven't competed, so I'm guessing you don't have a PDGA membership. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so no rating there. How about the pro scene? Do you follow that at all?
Do
you know- do you have any Favorite pros?
Yeah, we got Simon. What's his last name?
Simon. Does anybody know a guy named Simon? The
plays
fans
me.
right now and the followers are screaming at you.
Yeah.
Lizotte.
All right, there.
Simon. He was actually on our show a few weeks ago, so
Nice.
I'm sure he'll be glad to hear he's got another fan here. So let's get to it. How far can you throw a disc?
Whew. They're right there, so they're about to judge me. Well,
Okay, that's pretty funny. He points to his friends and says they're about to judge me, but what he doesn't realize is we are. So we asked him, how far can you throw a disc? We're going to put Nick up first. Nick, how far is he going to answer?
I'm gonna go 275.
Okay, 275 feet. Mike, what do you think he's going to answer with?
Wow, this is like the
Yeah,
Price
you
is
can
Right.
play it,
This is
for
awesome.
sure.
He's going to say 350.
Okay, so what did you say again, Nick?
275.
275. Mike says 350. Let's see what he answers, and then we'll continue into question 2.
Say only like 450. You know.
Whoa.
Okay, 450 feet. Can I just
Say
ask as a
only
follow-up, how do you
450.
measure that?
Just by the hole, length of the hole, and then distance side still left to the basket.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So let's ask this question. If I was to give you a stack of 10 putters and stick you at about what we call circle's edge, which is about 10 meters, so maybe about the edge of the island green there.
Yeah.
How many would go in the basket?
So, first of
Is
all,
this kid just like casually filthy good? Just doesn't play tournaments.
to be clear, he said
Yeah.
450 feet. So the point goes to Mike. Okay, he was only 100 off, but man, he played the cards right. Okay, so like, first of all, Mike, do you think he really throws 450 feet?
No, not at all. Absolutely not. No, but he's confident. I like that. He comes confident, and that's what you need. You need the confident.
But what's
attitude,
interesting,
but definitely
We
not-
asked him, how do you determine your distance? And he said he measures the hole length, like how long the hole says, and then how minus how much he's done. So like, either he's way off on his calculations, or he actually throws that distance. So
It's nothing but birdies
Yeah.
for that guy, then, right?
Apparently.
Dude, if he's throwing 450 feet, gold should be his favorite layout there. Like, he'd be murdering it.
Okay, so if he's in the live audience or watching later, feel free to comment and tell us we're wrong or tell us we're right. That is okay.
Send us a video of it
To be
sometime.
fair, when we're laughing about this, we actually appreciate you
Yeah.
playing the sport. Okay, so he said 450. That's a point for Mike Shue.
Yep.
We then asked him how many putters would he hit from circle's edge if we gave him 10. Mike, you're up with this one.
Well, if he thinks he can throw 450 feet, I'm saying he's going to say he hits 9 out of 10.
Okay, 9 out of 10 from the circle's edge.
He's gonna be a power thrower, but an awful putter. 6 out of 10.
Okay, so let's see who gets it here. We go with his answers.
7.
Whoa,
Okay,
7.
7 out of 10.
You'd be in Nick 2.
His buddies off screen are razzing him. Okay. If you were to get a disc golf tattoo, what would it be? Would it be a putter hitting the front rim, Tasmanian Devil throwing a 360 long distance drive, a single basket, or a favorite disc golf phrase you might have? For instance, like grip it and rip it, or death putt.
So let's get the point set up. The last one,
Yeah.
Nick
I
got
guess
that.
technically I got that.
It was close.
Yeah.
But you did get it. He said 7. So, and to be, that's incredible. That's pretty good too. I mean, 7 out of 10 circles edge is pretty good. This guy is really good. He's never competed. I'm bringing him to the newcomers ball.
I'll bring Zach.
How many tournaments have you played, Mike? Okay.
Not a lot. Probably a dozen, maybe
Okay.
over the
You
years.
do the
Yeah.
winter team challenge that we have here in New
Okay.
England.
Yes, he does.
Yes, I've done
Yeah.
it a couple.
That's
of years,
awesome too. I'd love to do another topic on that. Let's get back to this. We asked him about disc golf tattoos. We said a disc hitting the front basket. We said Tasmanian Devil doing a 360. Okay. We said a individual single just basket like tattooed, or would it be a disc golf phrase? And we gave him a for instance, whether it was grip it and rip it or death putt. This is Nick's to guess. What is his answer going to be, Nick?
I'm gonna go with C, just the single disc golf basket.
Single basket. We're judging him as a single basket guy. All right, Mike, what do you think for his disc golf tattoo?
So since Nick took that,
You
I can't
can.
say
You
single
can.
basket.
You
also.
could technically say it.
And then you guys would be tied again
Okay.
going into the final question. If he was correct, if he was correct. If he's incorrect and you're both incorrect, you'd still be tied as well.
You know what? I'm going to go D. He's going to get a big 450 on his
I
neck.
throw 450.
Yeah.
Or I was thinking 420, but no, that's a different thing. Okay. So
No, throws 450,
right.
man. Come on.
okay, let's see what his answer is, and then we'll move right into the final question.
It would be Huck and Pray.
Okay, so it would be a favorite disc golf phrase.
Okay, to be fair,
Yeah. No, he said
Mike
the
got the
phrase.
point.
Yeah.
It was a disc golf phrase. It was
Yep.
huck,
Oh, yeah.
huck and pray.
Nice.
So that does go to
Awesome.
you, Mike. That is a disc golf phrase that he chose. So let's continue on and see what we get here for question 4.
Phrase, huck and pray. That's excellent. All right. And then finally, if you were to play your first competitive round, but it was with unfavorable weather conditions,
Yeah.
are you going to choose to have it be really windy, 20 miles an hour plus the whole round, moderately raining, so consistent rain the whole round, or snowing? Picture like a blizzard.
Okay. So we asked him what would his preference for weather be during a competitive round. So now let's be clear. Mike is up 2-1.
Yeah.
Nick is losing. That is very normal, Mike.
It's beyond normal.
Okay.
I don't even know if I've won yet at this point.
I think you've won once.
I've lost track whether I've won or not. It's insane.
Okay, so what is his weather preference of choice? Nick, you are up.
We're gonna go with wind. He is a windy kind of guy.
He's a windy kind of guy. All right, Mike, what's your guess?
I'm going to say rain. I'm going to go for rain. He seems like a guy who would love to take his shirt off and just huck and pray in the rain. Yeah.
Okay, let's see what is it. And this will be for the win for Mike if he's correct, and a tie for Nick if he is correct.
I've played in the snow and I hate it. So I wouldn't do that. I'll probably go for the wind. You know,
Ooh,
it would be all
Let's
over the
go.
place, but that's my game right now. So it wouldn't change too much.
Awesome. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Thanks, Dad. And wait, Big Dave. You'll know who I
Big
am.
Dave.
All right, awesome. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
Do we know who Big Dave is?
We don't know who Big Dave is, but shout out
Shout
to him.
out Big Dave.
So here is how the tiebreaker happens. We go back to question 1, and it was who was closest.
I think we should just one-on-one around a disc golf, Mike. Me against you, $100 and bragging rights on the line.
That's
We're
not
going.
fair. That's terrible. That's not fair at all.
Nope. If we do it according to the rules that we decided before the show, technically Mike is closest. So Mike, you are our 11th or 12th winner. We've done 12 episodes.
I think 11. Maybe I'd be Hunter. I think I might have been Hunter. my
Hunter
buddy.
Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations, Mike. We hope you enjoyed that.
Wait. What do I
So
get?
I was
Oh,
hoping,
yeah,
I
here it
was,
is.
I
Here
was
it is.
hoping you wouldn't ask.
Yes, here it
because I'm about to go broke. But for all the winners that we've had on the show, eventually when I see them in person and we get time to hang out, I've always offered to buy them lunch. So I owe 11 lunches right now. So when you and I finally meet in person, we get out for a round, we talk about, people we know. We'll have it over lunch and a craft beer.
Okay. That's
It's
fair
lunch.
enough. You're not going to give me a brand new arrow?
Oh,
I'd love a brand new arrow.
If I can somehow find an arrow, I will get it for you.
That is so good. But we are so happy to have had
Yeah.
you on the show. It might not bring in the listeners and the viewers quite like Simon does, but we are not caring about that. We thought this would be a great interview, and it was. It really was, and we're glad to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun. Thank you very much
Totally
for having
awesome,
me.
and hopefully,
This is the thing, though, is that Mike's voice, everyone's going to be sad next week
Yeah.
when they don't hear such a great radio podcast voice. And that's they got to listen to you and I now.
it's gonna be
Matt,
like,
and
yep,
we're
yep,
going to have
yep,
like,
yep,
yeah, we're
okay,
going to have
here
like
we go.
Simon on again. We're going to have all these people. And,
Just keep telling them I throw an arrow. and
That's
they'll
true.
be
He
like,
throws an arrow.
Screw that.
I always do this for our guests,
Yeah.
but we want to give you kind of 30 seconds to throw in all your social medias. You have your own podcast. Where can our listeners find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Mike Shue AAF. On Instagram, at Mike Shue Rock, and I'm also on the Breaking the Ice podcast with Josh Dolan, who I did Afternoon Drive with at WAF, and Isaiah, who was also on air at AAF. And then I also do a Neil Young specific podcast. If you're a Neil Young fan, it's called Long May You Young. And I do it with Luke and Russ Condon, who are in the band Town Meeting. And we have a great time doing that. Our recent episode, we interviewed Nils Lofgren, who worked extensively with Neil Young, and had a great conversation with him. So if you can check out those podcasts, that'd be great. And again, guys, thank you very much
Yeah.
for having me on. It's
I
been
got
a
one
lot of
last
fun.
thing. one of our buddies, Sully, commented, and
So
this would be kind of cool actually. But he said, ask him to say, "Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show." real sexy like give us that radio welcome to the Nick and Matt show.
All right. Good evening, ladies. Welcome to the Nick and Matt show.
Some ASMR going on right now.
You got us like giggling in the
I-
background.
This is perfect. Mike, very, very fun to have you on the show tonight. It's fun to finally meet you. And, you know, because I've heard about you. I know Matt knows you. Hopefully we'll get out for a round sometime at Newton Hill. We'll play the new Reds layout. And again, we really appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks
All
a
right,
lot,
man.
guys.
Have a good evening.
Take it easy, Mike.
All right. Bye. Okay, so that was Mike Shue, formerly of WAAF, a very popular radio station here in the Massachusetts area. We hope that that gave you some insight into just what we would call the everyday disc golfer's experience, but he also has some, you know, influence, if you will, in the community as well. Of
Yeah, definitely.
just who he is.
Definitely for the Massachusetts disc golf area. I mean, a lot of people around here that I've talked to know who Mike Shue is, whether they've played around with him or they listen to WAAF back when he was a host on there. People know who he is. So it's cool to kind of have one of our, like you said, local celebrities come on the show. And most of our interaction tonight on our live comments were Massachusetts people just wanting to ask him questions. I think that's awesome.
True.
And he gave us a new welcome to the Nick and Matt show intro.
If we can
so
use
we
it,
can-
because I was
we're
giggling,
gonna
you
use
were. We
that.
were both snickering
Yeah.
in the background. So awesome, totally cool. We're gonna move on to one of our new segments from last week called Internet.
Internet.
We need Mike back to give us a
Yeah.
segment intro for this. Internet disc golf questions that we have snatched off the internet. We have anonymized the questioner, if you will, and we are going to ask some questions here. I believe we got 5 questions that we found on the internet. So let's go ahead with question number 1. Here we go. Does anyone...
Stop.
Okay, hold on. This was literally in a disc golf forum. Let me try again. I gotta compose myself. Okay. Does anyone have Billiards contact info? Please message me if you do. Thank you. So
I've
this-
got an answer for Anonymous Joe.
okay.
I don't have Billiards contact info. I'm sorry.
It's like sometimes I wonder, is it just a literal shot in the dark in these forums? Like
Yeah, it's got to be.
like they found a disc or something, and they're
Could've
just
been,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, is Billiard on this
At least,
forum?"
hopefully, he's trying to get that disc back.
All right, Nick.
Oh God,
You're up. Come on, give us your
this
best.
is I
your
could
best
totally
voice.
picture Simon being in this, but
Okay, here you go.
I have created a new group called Disc Golf Pets. Feel free to join and invite your friends.
Disc Golf Pet Group. Is this for people?
It's got 3 members. By the end of this week, by the end of our show, it might have more members than we have on our page.
Wait a second. Is this for pets who like enjoy disc golf, or is this for the disc
Yeah.
golfer who has a pet?
Could go either way.
Okay.
It's probably both.
How
you
many
know,
people?
I have pets, and you know,
how
I
many
might, I
people?
might join the group.
How many? You gotta have to tell me about it. Do you have disc golf pets? If you are listeners of ours, do you bring them with you? I mean, do you have like iguanas? Do you have cats, dogs,
Dogs.
rats? Rats. We had a rat growing up named Penelope.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually cool. Ferrets. I mean, we've had lots
Yeah.
of pets in my family. Dog. So people bring dogs. What's the craziest pet you've ever brought out to the disc golf course? Let's go on to, I guess it's my question. Question number 3. Here we go. So, strange topic, but what does everyone think of driving putters? And post your favorite. I've recently taken to the Ohm and Neutron plastic. Baby glides for days with predictable soft turn. Oh, so nice. So,
This-
driving putters.
Yeah, this is where Mike needed to be on because he said when he throws his arrow, he softly talks to it. You know, says gives it kind of like a little giddy up. This would have been perfect for him. But dude, 58 comments on that question. Pretty insane.
It is. So, wait, disc golf driver putters, though. Just talk for a minute. Do you have a driving putter, and what is that?
I throw the. Let's see. I have a Tour Series Luna. I have a Big Z Roach, and
What's the difference, though, between a putting putter and a driving putter to you?
usually the plastic.
Okay.
Like for me, the Big Z Roach is in the Big Z plastic, which is more durable than my regular Lunas. And same thing with the Tour Series Luna, the 2021. It's more durable, also more stable than my Proto Lunas that I putt with. So
I
the
think
only
that-
time I rarely ever throw my putting putters, but if I need something actually like pretty understable, or I need kind of a soft landing, I'll throw one of my putting putters, usually my jump putting one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about because I do too. Like I throw the AVR 3 as my throwing putter,
Mhm.
and I guess I would never think of like putting with it. I guess I could, but it's all about for me feeling the hand, and I
Yeah.
guess sometimes
Yeah.
durability.
It's usually durability for the most part when it comes to your driving putters because, I mean, if you're throwing D plastic or DX plastic, like DX AVRs or whatever, or D Roaches, it's not going to last long or it's going to get pretty flippy pretty quick. But obviously, if it's a more stable putter, I get that. But for the most part, usually it's durability and usually more glidey, like that better plastic. But
Cool. So that was a good question, Nick. This is your question.
what's it worth realistically? It's an unthrown Star AVR 3 from a doubles event.
Okay, and there's a picture of a green US DGC stamped 2019 AVR 3, Star AVR 3, and he wants to know
Anyone listening, what's it worth?
what's it worth realistically. So, Nick, what do you think? What is that Star AVR 3 worth? Realistically.
$16. No, it's the color green, which I don't care for at all, so I wouldn't spend any money on it.
My guess is
Plus,
literally,
I play for Discraft, so
yeah, the same thing. Retail probably. It has one comment. I don't know what that comment is. But
probably to $15.
so there is a collector's market for discs though.
I will say, cool stamp on it though.
Yeah. There is a collector's market for this, and actually one of our topics in just a minute is going to be the disc golf collector market. What is that? And we're going to talk about that. I think we have, I've kind of missed it here. I think we have one more question coming up. Okay, yes, we do. So let me read that out for you. If I average just above even par, what division should I be signing up for? Okay, this one, I guess I can kind of try to take it here and then get your insight, Nick. There are 50 comments on this. If I average just above even par, what division? Well, what layout are we talking about? Are we playing maple red?
I swear to
Pyramids
God, you
pink?
took the words right out of my mouth because 50 of those comments, I bet you 48 of them are, it depends on what course. Like if you're going to go play Maple Golds and you're shooting even par every single round, you should be playing in the pro division. If you're going to, I don't want to be rude, but let's say,
Well, it's anonymous here. They
Yeah.
probably don't even know. they're
let's
on
say
the show.
Maple Reds and you're shooting even par every single round, I would say AM2, AM1. I mean, pros, we obviously want to shoot a lot under par at that course. So I would say AM2 at like Maple Reds or something.
But if you're playing par on Maple Golds,
You should be playing pro because I
Yeah.
bet you you're murdering it at almost every other course out there.
and this goes back to our discussion a long time ago about par, like who is it built for? Because the reality is anybody can play par. It depends on the course.
Par is irrelevant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the final question of our segment, Internet Disc Golf Questions. And we'll have to make an intro for that to make this a little
Yeah,
more fun.
we'll get it a little bit more legit. Maybe week 13 or 14. Now Matt's traveling this week. We're gonna kind of give him a break and let him relax when
Yeah,
he
we'll
gets
see.
back. But
I might have prepared some things.
before we get into the collector's aspect of it, I do have a question for the live audience. We're going to kind of talk about discs now. And one of the things that Infinite just came out with today on Twitter was the top 50 discs of the 2020 season so far. So I kind of want to see everyone's idea. What do you think the number 1, 2, and 3 discs are?
Yeah, and it's going to take a little
just-
bit for them to take a guess here.
No, I'm just curious. I kind of want to see.
Okay, so I'm not looking, and I haven't looked at. I think you sent it to me, but I didn't see it. So what the number 1, 2, 3 discs are sold through Infinite is what you're saying?
Yeah.
In this month or quarter, what was it?
So far through 2020.
So okay, so about
Yeah,
almost
I think
half
that's
the
what it
year,
was.
right? January, February,
Yeah.
March, April, May, June, July. Okay, actually,
Pretty
more than
much-
that. We're almost in the third quarter.
Oh, here, from no, January 1st to June 30th.
Okay, so yeah.
So 7 months.
Okay. It used to be the Destroyer.
Mhm.
I'm guessing that. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if it's up there. I'm gonna go with the Paul Macbeth disc, and I'm gonna say Hades. I don't know, or is it?
So Hades is the newest
Malta?
one. So
I
I'm
don't
gonna give you a break and don't say that one because that's the newest one. So if they sold,
Oh, that's true.
yeah,
I don't,
that's the newest.
Can
out
you
of
tell
all.
I don't follow that market as
Yeah.
closely? Malta or Luna. I'm just gonna say one of the Paul Macbeth discs, unless it's all top 3. But that's my guess.
Pretty close.
Okay.
So actually, a bunch of our comments, like Ryan Sully, Discraft, you got 2 out of 3 right. Doc Zen, you got 2 out of 3 right. But the number 1
Is
disc,
the Destroyer up there still?
yeah,
Or it
yeah.
is.
So,
Okay,
give
okay.
me 30
right,
seconds.
here
I
you go.
got you. So the number 1 disc right now is the ESP Buzz, the Paul Macbeth stamped ESP Buzzes now. I would assume actually it just says Buzz, so that could be Tour Series Buzz, Z Buzz. I don't know, but
Interesting.
anyways, Buzz is the number 1, Destroyer being number 2, and the Paul Macbeth Luna being number 3, with the Zone being very close, pretty much right behind it. And then rounding out the top 5 is the P2. So I think pretty
Any
much.
surprises there for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Honestly, no. I mean, the buzz has always been you either throw buzzes or you throw rocks. Before all the other companies came out. But for the most part, at least when I started playing, most people either threw a rock or a buzz. And in New England, I have a lot more rock thrower friends than there are buzz throwers. But I've thrown buzzes since I started playing. It's been a staple in my bag.
Interesting.
But-
So we're going to go right into this topic then, related to discs.
Doc, the judge is number 9.
Okay.
So yeah.
So there's a lot of popular discs out there. Now, when we talk popularity of disc sales compared to popularity in the disc golf collecting market, let's just preface this whole conversation by saying disc golf collector market is probably a little different to each person, like what that means to them. But let's just kind of put out there the crazy things that we've seen, such as go search eBay right now for like collectible disc golf disc. Like just punch that in eBay and look at the price, the going price, the buy it now price for these discs. And I think you'll be surprised. I'm talking at least hundreds of dollars, if not more. Nick, let's just and there's so many collector auction raffle pages on Facebook, like for discs.
Yeah.
That people are not going to ever throw. This is the collector market we're talking about. So let me ask you this question, Nick. What is probably the most expensive disc that has sold that you are aware of?
There was a Proto M4 back when Prodigy first came out. It was this yellow one, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I'm pretty sure it sold for like over $2 or $3 grand. It was insane. Like someone bought a Proto M4 for thousands of dollars. And then Paul's old McPro AVR stamp destroyers are probably one of the most sought after discs that are not released to the public. Like you kind of
Say that again. What was the stamp?
the McPro AVR
McPro AVR.
stamp destroyers. So those
Stamp
really
destroyer.
swirly ones that he threw when he was with Innova, those are probably one of the most sought after discs. And then obviously,
And I can
go for it.
the disc cost that I've seen. Now, granted, this was Hannah Macbeth posting it up.
Yeah.
Her mom was having health situation,
Mhm.
and they wanted to raise money in that way, and they put up a
One of the
McPro
yeah.
AVR stamp destroyers. Do you remember what it went for? It was like,
I think over $2,400.
oh,
But
I think it was more.
it could have
than
been
that.
way more than that.
And Gomez,
I'll shoot a
Jonathan
text.
Gomez was bidding on it, and a lot of other quote unquote higher rollers. I remember being like, "This is incredible for a piece of plastic." Yes,
Yeah.
Vibram people are mentioning is collectible because they do not make that anymore. In fact, one point, Nick, I sold a stack of Vibram discs because I used to be a Vibram tester, as in like you could call it a sponsorship that I won. Yes, I won one Pro Open event, and it was a Vibram Birdie Bash.
Really?
Yeah, and there were
Oh,
Pro
I
Open
remember
players
that out
there.
in Petersham.
I couldn't believe I won
Yeah.
it, and the prize was to be a Vibram tester. And so I started receiving all the prototypes. And then one point I had a stack, and after I had done the reviews and thrown them and all that, I sold them. And I remember selling a stack of them for like $200, like 4 discs or $200. The point is, okay, someone said they've been offered $600 for their Vibram Christmas Ridge. That's Andrew Streeter.
Oh, I'm curious what that looks like.
Someone's mentioning right now the Get Freaky discs. That's the
I
Brody
was going to
Smith
bring
disc.
that up as the latest disc that is probably the most sought after are the Get Freaky zones.
But why? And this is the collector conversation. I understand because I'm a collector. Like I love collecting things. Do we have other collectors that love collecting things? Maybe just share some of what your collections are. But specifically
I'm the
discs.
exact opposite.
But
yeah.
okay, so you're the exact. So you
Yeah.
don't like collecting things.
I
Anything.
I don't get a. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I collect discs to throw. I don't
So you-
collect. Yeah.
But so you're
there's-
collecting them as a stack to backups. There's a difference.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know. I have a Get Freaky pink zone that I got when I was in Michigan, and the cool thing about it is there's the main, black stamp Dark Horse on it that they all have at the bottom, and then around the whole zone there's 5 more ghost Dark Horses. So it's like a 6-time Get Freaky zone with just a regular Get Freaky stamp on it. It's pretty sick, but
So
I would never put that up on an auction site. Like, honestly, if I lose the other Get Freaky that I have, I'm probably just going to put that one in the bag.
So someone just brought up like the pie plate, frisbee, the original frisbee pie plates or pie dishes or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
those are collectible and those are going for a lot. The original beveled disc by Innova, those are going for thousands of dollars as well.
You remember the Vibram 420s that we got back at Amside years back?
So there's so many collectible discs out there. So if you're live right now, comment either your most valuable or the most valuable you've ever heard. For me, I think for me it was the maybe the 10-year Buzz. No, okay, I've got two. The 10-year Buzz, a
Where
red
are they? I
10-year
want
Buzz.
those.
No, I sold them
Oh,
because I realized what they would go for at one
yeah,
point.
some
To me,
friend.
To me it was
Bentley
worth
gave
more.
me
Like,
one.
and how do you know when to grab them? Because they just come up, and do you know if it's going to be collectible? And this is a whole nother conversation, is like what the collectible market does like to the sport of disc golf. But we're going to talk about that. So for me, I think I sold like a red 10-year Buzz. I don't know if it was in its prime or not, but I sold it for $100. I was happy with that.
Mhm.
As of late, has anybody seen, or there's a whole Nate Sexton disc golf collector page, okay, specifically
For his
on Facebook.
Firebirds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Out at Las Vegas Challenge, I was able to procure
Oh.
2
Yeah.
LVC Sexton Firebirds. Now I forget the quantity on those, but I think the number was like 200. Like that was it. I can't remember. Someone's gonna have to correct me if
Yeah.
you're really into this.
That was back for what, 2018?
That was this year.
Was it this year?
That was
oh
literally
yeah,
this year at
it
Las
was
Vegas
this year.
Challenge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I got 2 of them and I spent $20 on each. And I said, oh, these are really cool discs. Thanks for the opportunity. I get back to the room to start editing with Terry, and I'm looking on the pages, and they're already getting posted immediately for like other people that procured them. And I'm seeing the price go from like the $20 to $40 I spent all the way up to I'm seeing like $320, $350, and I'm like, this is incredible. So day one, I literally think I need to catch the wave right now. So I take those discs, take pictures of them in good lighting, I post them on the auction page, and immediately I get a $375 bid.
Jeez.
And I'm like, okay, so like by the end of the day or the next day, I sell 2 discs for $375 that I spent $40 on. That was the next day. That was a flip.
Pretty good profit margin.
I was like, honey, I came out to
Disc-
Las Vegas and I
yeah.
didn't play the slot machines. I played the disc selling machine. And that happened. But guess what? Where we are now, you guys ready for this? A single LVC Firebird is going, and now it depends on stamps and everything else.
Yeah.
But they're going for anywhere from like $700 to like $1,000 or $1,100. One disc.
That's insane.
And that's in this year. That's not even 6 months later.
Yeah.
So you said you don't collect discs. People are commenting about discs that they have. Someone said an Innova 2008 USDG Champion Rancho Rock, $550. 2016 Sexton Firebird going for $600. Someone says they have $100 Pures.
No, 100 plus peers.
Oh, 100.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe he's collecting all
collecting
those.
them,
Yeah.
So
He putts with them. So
what is, again, and this is just to those listening later, those on right now, what is the disc that you have or that you know about?
this would be great to get our good buddy Greg O'Coin on right now, because I've
Mm.
never seen someone have so many of like some of the most collectible discs that are out there. Pro to Destroyers, just like everything and anything. I've been to his house before. It's insane.
How do you,
But
so how do these people who collect discs, literally, how do they fund that? And I'm not asking you to speculate on like Greg O'Coin, but like other people. So, and I'm going to throw it out there to my buddy Terry Miller, who I'm actually going to catch up with tomorrow night. I'll have to ask him in person, but I do know I don't know if he would care, because he's actually shown video clips and live shots of his actual storage container, full storage container. And I'm not talking like little closet size, like lift the front door, like drive in, container full of discs. That's why he has a storage container. And I did like calculations in my head. He literally has probably every single collectible disc and more that you would ever want. And I think
Yeah.
I valued it somewhere around $250,000 at least in my head. That's what I came up with. Do you know of somebody who has a more valuable? I've seen some pictures.
I'm in the wrong industry.
But this is okay. So let's turn the conversation here. What does collecting discs do, if anything, for the disc golf industry? what are the positives? What are the negatives? What are these manufacturers doing to help drive that or to help stop that?
I don't think right now they're really doing anything to stop it. Well,
Okay, so Get Freaky,
Get Freaky,
Foundation
so-
Disc Golf, they'll post stuff up.
well, so we'll start one of the other. Discraft is the one who makes the Get Freakies. They have that relationship with Brody, and they do that, and they make X amount of Get Freakies per color that came out. Now, I'm not 100% sure how many came for the blacks or how many came for the pinks or the blues. I don't know those exact numbers, but I do know in the latest run of the Glow Get Freakies, they sold out in like 30 seconds. There was a limit, 2 per person, so that potentially more people could get them. Because, dude, there were people who were like using bots to buy 15 or 20 of the pink ones. They'd have it listed on eBay before they even knew if they bought the Get Freakies. Like, I don't even know how all that crap works, but it's insane. Like, people were just, and some people they would buy 5 pink Get Freakies. They would keep 2 of them as their own, maybe give 1 to a friend, but then they would sell 2 of them and make their money back and make some profit. You know, say they sold them for $100 a piece, they made $100 profit. Their buddy has 1, they have 2 for throwing. I don't know. It's
So should
pretty
there
crazy.
be limits on this? Because what does a
If you want to keep
collector's
everything,
market-
if you want to keep everything collectors, then yeah, there should be a limit on it.
I don't mean the limit on the quantity they make
Mhm.
as much as if they're limiting people from buying certain amounts. So like, so I think I
If-
saw Foundation post this. Like people are creating bots even to
Yeah.
buy them all at one time. So
Yep.
because they know I buy that for $20, I sell it for
Mhm.
200. That's amazing. So they
Yeah.
buy 200 of them. Do the math. 'Cause
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not.
exactly. It's yeah, no, it's insane. But I think if you want to have a collector's market to where things potentially are collectible, you don't limit how many people can get, because the more people that have them, the kind of less collectible it becomes, right? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, if you only make 2,000 of them, there's obviously thousands and thousands of disc golfers who did not get them. But if you don't put a limit on how many that people can buy, now let's say that 2,000 of them, 1,000 people are the only ones who got it. 1,000 people got 2 apiece. Now, for the other 10,000 people that want them, there's a huge market because only an X amount have them. I don't know. It's weird because I never thought about the disc collecting aspect of disc golf because it just never appealed to me. Like, I have some pretty sweet discs. I have Paul gave me this years ago. It was a Team Innova stamped. It's the same run as the McPro Star Destroyers, but it's not the McPro AVR stamp on it. It just says Team Innova. That I'm sure could probably get a hefty amount for it. And I play for Discraft. I'm never obviously going to throw that disc, but it was a gift from him. It's got sentimental value to it. It's like I have his putter that he played 2015 MVP Open, or back then Vibram Open. It's just,
So
I think we all have some sort of discs that are collectible. It's just what you do with them at that point. I never looked at the flipping aspect of it or the collecting. I usually give away the discs that I don't like. So whether
you like to throw them. I've seen
Yeah,
you with
I-
like Crystal Z Luna or like you
oh yeah,
you
dude,
throw all that
I
stuff.
had the Discraft stamp Crystal Raptor that there's probably maybe 10 people have.
You just throw
Dude,
it.
it's a sick thrower. Yeah, I lost one of my favorite Raptors. It was my blue McBee stamped Foundation. That was kind of a bummer.
Okay, so here's
But,
where
yeah.
here's where the question was, and about should manufacturers limit the idea of like how many people can buy at a time, so they just can't flip them? My answer is no. I think there are plenty of discs out in this world that anybody that wants to take the time to buy them all up, or not the time, is quickest to do it, then they win the prize. I think I'm not against someone like Foundation being like we're limiting it to 2 or Brody. Like
Mhm.
that's their choice. I guess my point is it's anybody's choice who wants to do that. But I don't
Yeah.
think it's hurting the disc golf industry or world or community.
I don't think
none
it
at
hurts the industry, but it potentially can hurt that company. If you don't put a limit on it and some guy gets 50 of a disc that only came out,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Then you have
Then nobody
49 other pissed off customers now because they didn't have a chance to buy that.
okay. So
So as
bother
a-
customers. Is
Yeah,
it?
as a small retailer, I think what Foundation does with their exclusive stamps, and I'm obviously going to say everything great about Foundation because they're my boys.
and Discraft.
I'm
We know.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But no, when they came out with the Dark Claw Jawbreaker Wasps, I think there was 21 or 2,200 of them, and there was a limit how many people could buy, and that's so more people get to enjoy this freaking badass disc that came out. Like,
So I actually see your perspective there, and I don't know if I was on that side of it
Yeah.
earlier. Like, so we want to make the customers happy. But that being said, I mean, sure, okay. So it's still a collectible
for-
though. If they limit
for
the
a,
quantity,
for a retailer, you got to make the customer happy.
yes, but they have so many disc selections out there. So maybe,
But
of
only
their-
Foundation is coming out with Jawbreaker Wasps with a Dark Claw stamp on it.
okay. So the
So
collector,
that's a one of one stamp.
the collector market, okay, they should limit. They should limit. I think if they want to make a collector, the manufacturer. When I say limit, what I mean is they only make a certain quantity.
Yep.
Let's say 50. Obviously, that will be very collectible. Then they can limit amount per person. Okay, I get it. I think, but here's the point: the collector market doesn't actually hurt the industry of disc golf. But what is interesting is when a disc like the LVC Firebird or any of these others that come out immediately, literally stock fresh, and now they're going for $800. Someone made a great point. How many people are placing at an event and making $800?
Yeah,
Like,
no kidding.
maybe we should just,
Yeah.
turn to disc
Just
golf flipping.
fly out to Vegas every year, get one of those sick Firebirds, and then sell 2 of them. Hopefully, you get some more from some buddies.
To be clear, they did limit it to 2 per person.
Yeah, it was
out
2
there.
per person there.
And,
There was when I was just up in Michigan, they found a box of the Player of the Year Lunas, the Crystal Lunas, with the Player of the Year stamp for Paul. And same thing, it was limited 2 per person. No one, and I think the same thing. They had a bunch of X out get freakies. Same thing, 2 per person. Like, so for the 100 people that were in line, that one person that got to the front of the line because he showed up 4 hours prior didn't spend $2,000 on 100 get freakies. And I thought that was perfect. So now you have that many more happy people. Some people are going to throw them. Some people are obviously going to flip them. But
okay.
it's weird.
So
It's a weird market.
yeah, and I just want to bring up one more thought here. So like the Nate Sexton Glow Firebirds, we should have Nate on to talk about this, how this has helped him in his career, because every time one sells, I'm sure he gets some type of cut on that.
Mhm.
So do the disc golf manufacturers benefit from the collectability of these discs? Do they benefit? And I think probably, because
Yeah, I'd have to say so.
but they have to time it right, because for instance, the Glow Firebirds, they know that they're hot commodities. So every time they want to boost in their revenue, let's sell 500 Firebirds, and then one day or 20 minutes they're all gone.
Mhm.
And depending on the release, they're gone quicker than that. So to them, it's just easy. Let's just make some more Firebirds and we'll sell them. But if they flood the market, then they won't be as collectible.
Yeah.
So they're playing a game too, I'm sure. Like, how do we keep these collectible so we can sell quickly? And they don't care too much about the collector's market, what happens afterwards, because they've already made their money.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like with the Get Freakies. Brody started coming out with them towards the beginning of the year when he signed with Discraft. And originally, I think the first color was black, and then they went to green. Maybe I could be totally wrong about that. But every few months, they just switch the color. It's the same, same plastic, same stamp. Some of them are obviously the Wonder Bread stamps, which go for the most, or like the money stamp. The
See, you know a
silver
little
foil.
bit about the collector's market.
I know a little bit because everyone, and I honestly think it's an awful stamp, but everyone is obsessed with the Wonder Bread stamp from Discraft, and I don't know. It's not appealing to me. I'm pretty basic when it comes to stamps. I like what I like. Wonder Bread's not in that category, but yeah, every so often they would just come out with a different color to it. It was the same disc, same plastic, but just coming out with a new color. Discraft and Brody will be able to come out with this awesome thing every few months.
So we'll kind of wrap this up. But like when it comes to disc collecting, because we didn't really talk about this aspect of it, when it comes to disc collecting, people are looking at the stamps. They're looking at the color of the disc. They're looking for swirly, unique patterns inside of their discs, plastic, how many were made of each type. They try to find out this information. People will literally write the manufacturers and be like, seems like it's a new stamp. It has a different rainbow pattern than the previous one.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is getting that detailed. Is there what they call like blowout? Is the disc stamp perfect, or is a little portion, scraped off or didn't stick to the plastic? I mean, detailed. People are like rating these. There was even a rating person. Like you would send your disc, they would rate it professionally, send it back with a certificate, so you could confirm the quality and value of the disc. So,
By the way, I texted Hannah about the McPro Destroyer that She had raffled off, and it went for 2,500.
Okay, it's 25.
Yeah.
It was pretty exciting to watch. So disc collecting. Right now, I
DJ
probably
saying 420. Yes, it's the polka dotted stamp one, pretty much.
So I right now have Sexton Firebirds. I lost like my 2015 in Memorial Fountain Hill. Like I threw it a blind
I have
shot.
a used one. I'm just gonna give it to you.
Yes, I'll throw it.
It's got my name on it, though.
I will throw it though,
and it's
like,
got my phone number.
I'll just throw it so people are like, "How are you throwing that?" I should have
Right.
kept the LVC Firebirds and just threw those.
Yeah, right. People, yeah.
No. Okay. But see, that's another great point. When a disc reaches a certain value, like regardless, I don't care if I agree with that value or not, I'm going to sell it because it's worth more to sell it than to
Then
keep
to
it
just
in a
keep
shelf.
it. Yeah.
I do like collecting things though. So
Yeah.
maybe let us know some weird collections you have.
Yeah. Leave in the comments what is the most collectible disc that you guys have. And
Yeah.
Matt, does that wrap it up? You got an early day
Well,
tomorrow, right?
It kind of wraps it up. Do you
Yeah.
want to finish the talk on people wanted to know. paid to
Oh, the
volunteer.
MVP. Yeah, we got to talk about
Okay.
that.
So here's the deal.
I got to use the restroom, though. So I'll be right back. You start the talking on it. I'm actually going to peace out real quick.
And because this is a live recording,
We'll edit this out when
no, we're not editing it out.
I'll
The
be right back.
bathroom's far enough away and the audio won't matter. Okay. So here's what I want to say. Earlier today, and I'm actually just going to pull it up real quick here. If you're friends with Steve Dodge on social media, whether you like the guy or you don't like the guy, I just had a conversation with him earlier, actually about even that topic. People liking you, not liking you. Everybody is a unique individual, including me. And here's what he said. MVP Open, September 11th through 13th, $100 to be on staff. UN ? And then he talks about, he says 1 or 2 spotters per hole equals no lost disc. We want live scoring on every card. He says water, general cleaning, and parking. He wants staff. Now, when he wrote this, it looks to me like, and this was what Nick said earlier, it looks like it said $100 to be on staff. It sounds to me like you get $100 to be on staff. Now, if you look at the comments, 64 comments since earlier today about noon. People are saying things like, you have to pay to be a staff member. Someone said, oh, that $100 is getting you a pretty good pack of swag, it seems like. Someone else said, paying to volunteer, that's a new low, in my opinion. Are players allowed to caddy? That looked like it was kind of like, maybe I can get around this $100. And someone said, probably not. The Disc Golf Pro Tour will probably still be in phase 1. Someone says, come on. And then people are saying LMFAO, this is goofy. Someone else said, you're a pioneer. This is what you need to do. Oh, I actually thought you were paying spotters $100 to spot. Once I saw this post being shared everywhere, I reread it and realized you were just being what you are, a disc golf pioneer. Someone else said, I thought you were paying people. You have to pay to volunteer your time. So I'm reading through a lot of the comments here, Nick, as you come back. It says, do you expect to sell out these staff passes? People, there's a lot of people. It costs to be a volunteer. That's a lot of questions. So here's what Steve Dodge's response was, and then we can talk about it. Here's what he said. Without spectators, there's much less income. That is a point to this conversation.
Yeah.
Without spectators, we would have to turn staff away. Okay. Number 3, when staff sign up, they don't always show up.
When volunteers sign
Yes,
up.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
He uses the word staff, and I think there's a reason, because it does sound goofy if you say volunteer, but it also sounds funny to pay. I feel like this is kind of a loophole, if you will, to the Disc Golf Pro Tour, being able to spectate.
Mhm.
Okay. And he says, so when staff sign up, they don't always show up. Therefore, giving a staff pack worth more than $100 makes it so we know the staff will show up, give them a chance to spectate, and makes it so we don't have to turn staff away. So, do you agree with Steve Dodge's point here, Nick? Without spectators, there's much less income. Do you agree with that point?
Yeah, 100%, because you pay for parking when you come to the event.
Yes.
That's
At
huge.
Maple Hill. At Maple
Yeah,
Hill.
at Maple Hill. Yeah.
There's other tournaments that do this as well.
It's humongous. And then also, I mean, for the first couple of days before all the pros get into town, you have a bunch of people coming from, say, other New Englanders coming down to spend the week watching the tournament. They come and play the course now. So that's potential money that you're losing because people can't drive, say, from Maine to come down and spectate. And normally they would have played a round or two before it was closed to the public. But
So that's point one.
yeah.
I don't know if I understand point two. Help me understand it. Without
for it.
spectators, we would have to turn staff away.
I didn't understand that.
I think it has to do with the idea if there aren't spectators, we don't need as much staff. Maybe. I'm not sure. But 3, when staff sign up, they don't always show up.
That I can agree with. And then, I mean, he says staff, but I'll say volunteer. There are times where if you could volunteer for something, doesn't have to be disc golf related, and then something comes up, something small that you think is just a little bit more important than what you volunteered for, and you completely ditch out and potentially don't even tell the people that, oh yeah, hey, I can't make it, by the way. Like, even though you volunteered for that, if you pay $100, obviously
And you're getting swag.
and you're getting swag for it, you're pretty inclined to show up to make use out of that $100. And
Right.
for the lucky people who are doing the UDisc live scoring, and you get to watch the top cards go off and everything like that.
$100.
Yeah, $100. Yeah, $100 to watch it in person. It sounds.
Would
it
you
sounds
go
so
to the
crazy.
Masters? But okay.
Yeah.
does it-
See. Yeah.
Masters, NBA, people
Yeah.
are saying like,
Yeah,
if you could pay $100 to be a water boy, to actually run water for the
Yeah.
NBA, would you do it? You're like, we have people commenting going, yeah, but would you have people pay to come over and clean your house? And it's like, no, it's not the same thing. It's if the product is worth it to that person. And I
Yeah,
think
what are
to a
you
lot of
getting out
people
of
it
it?
is.
Yeah.
It's like okay, this is
And
gonna sound crazy. I would go clean the house of put your professional sport hero. Like I'll go to their house and clean their house. And you might say I'm really weird. and
Potentially,
maybe I
yeah,
am.
but potentially what you get at that, say you get to have dinner with him or her that night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you get something out of it. They're not just paying $100 to volunteer and that's all they're doing for the weekend. Like they
They're
are
not
getting
hiding
swag
away.
out of it. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I want to make this clear on my end because to me this is kind of a touchy subject
Yeah.
in the sense of, I want to see nothing but success for the MVP Open. I want to see nothing but success for the whole Disc Golf Pro Tour, but especially the MVP Open because it's the local event here for us. I love that event. It's a pro tour that I have cashed at. I love playing Maple Hill. I obviously want to see the best for Maple Hill. But this is not something that I don't think I would do it. And I say I don't think it's the best idea is because say one of the things you get is I think 3 discs. When I was in Michigan, a lot of the UDisc live scorers were middle-aged men, say 40 to 60 years old even. A bunch of the spotters were over 35, 40, 45, 50. Like there are people out there who, yeah, you could get an MVP Open disc that could potentially be a collector's disc like we're talking about. That 58-year-old guy that's spotting on hole 7 is probably not thinking, ooh, I'm going to volunteer so that I can get that MVP Neutron and then flip it on DDGA on Facebook later on. Like they're probably not thinking that. So you're potentially losing spotters of, casual older people who like to come out and watch the sport because now they have to pay $100 for swag. They might never wear an MVP backpack that they're getting. They don't care about the 3 MVP discs. They're loyal to their favorite pro and they want to throw what their favorite pro throws. It's just stuff
To
like
be
that.
clear though, Nick, he's not asking people to pay to volunteer. Straight up. He's not saying, hey, I need volunteers and I want you to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's not what he's doing. I honestly think, benefit of the doubt, and I talked to him earlier, what's happening here is, and I'm not speaking for him. I'm literally not. So these are not words from his mouth. What's happening here is he has literally created an opportunity for people who wanted to come and observe. And I'm not going to lie. Let me give this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, if there's no spectators allowed, how is me, Matt Graham, going to observe the MVP in my hometown? And you know what I thought? I'm going to have to volunteer. I'm going to have to work it. Now, how many other people like me were thinking that? Now, he would have to limit it. What if 1,000 people are like, I'm going to go volunteer, Steve?
Because of,
So there's
no spectators. And so
yes,
before
there's a demand.
yeah.
So there is a demand.
Yep.
Okay. And he probably recognized this, obviously, as a demand option, and he goes, okay, I'm out the money because there aren't spectators, which how am I going to fund the event?
Mhm.
And he goes, there are people who want to watch in person that will be willing to wave a flag or spot on a hole that would pay $100 and not complain about it. They want to do this. He's not
There are
saying
people who are 1,000%. There are probably going to be a lot more people than we thought are actually going to do this.
Okay, so
And
let me say this. I talked to him earlier,
Mhm.
and he had more people sign up in one day paying $100 per person than he's ever had sign up in one day for volunteering. What does that tell you?
people are going to do it. If they want to be there,
They
people are
want
going
to
to
do
be
it.
there. Yeah,
They
100%.
want to do it. And
Dude,
these people do
I
not
said-
feel they
Yeah.
do not feel slighted. They wanted to do this. Now the
Yeah.
people who are going to feel slighted, and I will give them this. Like literally I understand it, but the people who are going to feel slighted are the people who wanted to go and just watch and not volunteer. And I'll just say this
Yeah.
straight up. COVID-19 sucks.
100%.
It's changed everything. Now,
Yeah.
whether you think it's right or wrong to sell a spot for somebody to work at, I'm going to go back to it again. Whether you think disc golf is this yet or not, I would pay to go and work. I would literally go pay to work in the locker room of like my favorite NFL team or NBA team or baseball team. Like I would. Are you kidding me? I'll go
Yeah.
clean out the locker rooms. Like $100.
Did your favorite NFL team, did that go from the Patriots to the Buccaneers this last year?
No. We'll see what happens
I'm
with the
just kidding.
Patriots. I think I'll be Patriots fan for life, but
Agreed.
I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily a
As
Cam
long as I
Newton
live in
fan
Mass,
yet.
right?
I'm a Patriots
Yeah.
fan, so we'll see.
Todd posted something great on here. He said he was going to sponsor a hole at a tournament to get early registration. People do that 1,000%. Like people sponsor a hole to make sure the first round that they start on that hole, or they sponsor a hole to make sure that they're playing with certain people. Like people pay the extra money to go do what they think is worth it to them. And there are people around here who potentially just moved to Massachusetts, never have seen a big event like this, never have met Paul, met Ricky, met Simon, or anything like that. And they are, without a doubt, going to message Steve Judge and say, hey, what's your PayPal? I'm all in.
Yeah.
Put me where you need me to be.
People
So-
like you and me and other people who have every year brushed shoulders, walked the course the whole 9 yards, we
Mhm.
might say this is a year off for us. And that's fine.
Yeah. Well,
Or you're
I'm
gonna play.
playing. Yeah. So it ain't a year off.
And I'm probably doing media. So like we're both kind of in this unique situation. But like I want to go, it's just you can't look at it one way. You have to see the perspective of the interested party.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
And like you said, COVID sucks. COVID-19 absolutely ruined a crap ton of things that we had going on for us this year. And especially because some events were in phase 2, spectators were allowed, and one of the other things, players got to, because we're in phase 1, Massachusetts is a little bit stricter in certain areas. Same thing with
Disc Golf
Vermont.
Pro Tour, to be clear, is in
Yeah.
phase 1.
And Massachusetts is in like phase
phase
3
three,
and a
yeah.
half or something like
Whatever
that.
that
But-
means.
So for the Pro Tour being in phase 1, one of the new mandates that they're telling people to do is while you're on the teeing area, you need to wear a mask. When you're teeing off, you can take it off really quick, but while you are on the teeing area itself, you do need to wear a mask. So it's just, dude, we're in a crazy freaking time
Can
right
I
now.
ask this? And I don't know the answer to this. I didn't ask Steve this. But what are other creative options that could have been done? So people are like, this, you should never ask people to pay to work. Well, if you look at it that way, it's kind of looking at a half glass full. I mean,
Mhm.
half empty. You can look at it half full and say he came up with a creative option to allow people to still spectate and help, because that's what the Disc Golf Pro Tour calls for.
Yeah.
It says you can't have spectators. So he's creating an opportunity / also asking for help. Okay.
Mhm.
That's the benefit of the doubt. But what else could have been done? If, let's say, if I did the math, potentially, this is a round number, you could have came up with maybe $10,000. If that is literally what he needs, or he's just rolling the dice, shooting big, and he really only needs 5 or 6, where is he coming up with $6,000? Because COVID's not allowing spectators now. It's kind of resolving backwards. It's not like he could have planned for this. Where do you come up with that? Should he just cancel the event, or should he get creative like this? Or is there another way? The disc golf community is very giving.
Yeah.
Should he have just went out and said, hey guys, to run the event well, I need $6,000 and I need volunteers? Like, would people have given? Would he have been able to collect 6,000? I do not know. Would he have been labeled as worse than he is now, asking for $6,000?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I hear you. And
Like, what
you
are
know,
the options?
a couple of comments coming through. What if $100 to volunteer, or you could spend, I'm not going to say 1,000, but you could spend $200 to caddy for Paul, or caddy for Ricky, or caddy for Eagle.
There are people.
There
Yeah.
are people that 10 billion% would probably pay $500 to spend the weekend caddying for one of their favorite top pros. There are people that are going to do that. So like I said, I hope nothing for the best.
What about Foundation Disc Golf? Remember we talked about their Patreon levels?
Yeah.
Do you know what the highest Patreon level is? It's like $500 a month.
Yeah, it's like 500. I don't know if it's a month or a
think
couple
it is
times
for, like,
throughout
6
the year.
months.
Yeah, for like 6 months or something like that. It's
And what do they get?
I have no idea
I
what
think
the
it's
levels are.
literally.
I forget.
think it's there's too many.
They like fly you out and
And
you get to play around with Brody and Paul
Yeah.
and hang out with the foundation guys and Hunter
Some
as well
people-
and Trevor.
Are furious.
Yeah.
How are you charging that much money for that? Like, what's wrong with you guys? That's horrible. It's gouging, right?
There are people that are going to do it.
There are people that are doing it. From my understanding, I think I heard that. I don't remember through who. I
Yeah.
don't think it was you. How would I have heard that? I don't know. Nick? No.
I don't know.
I literally don't
if
know.
I've said
Maybe
it.
I just dreamed it. But the reality is, people are going to do it, and there's people that are willing to spend that money, no problem. And if some people are willing to spend $100 to go on the course and observe while they hold a flag in their hands, it's worth it to them, then they want to do that. And there's going to be people who don't. Just like some people like buying nice cars. Well, maybe this doesn't equate. And some people don't. You buy what's valuable to you. Literally. Like,
Mhm.
I want the extra feature, I don't. And besides that, the swag that you get, I think it's going to be a fair exchange in a lot of ways. You can tell he was not trying to just have a money grab as it. He needs the money,
Mhm.
but he's providing equal value back, plus the opportunity to spectate.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Nick. It's
It's
like
tough.
you hope the best. I
Yeah.
hope the best.
From what I'm understanding, one of the comments that we're getting is Idlewild didn't have to do this. Why does a paid course with less room and less need for spotters need to do this?
I think honestly,
It's
it
weird.
was planned earlier. Okay, so Idlewild probably has never charged for parking at that event, have they? When you went, do you remember?
I personally don't remember. I'm pretty sure it's on I think it's a free course from my understanding.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's a free course. I don't think they charge parking there.
So someone
Um,
says Idlewild, but here's the
yeah.
deal: like
They're-
Maple Hill has been doing this tournament for X amount of years, a long time,
Mhm.
and they plan on and bring in a certain amount of money every single year for this event. That is what they count on, and so now not to have it, they have to figure out a way because that was part of their plan. Now, had they had a year or longer to plan this portion out, maybe they go, and I'm sure they maybe they don't do it this way. But I still don't think it's a bad thing to do. And I think the future of disc golf, this could be it. Because honestly, the larger the sport gets, do you think the NBA, if they said, hey, we need volunteers, would they have to turn people away?
Yeah, they would have.
There'd
to
be
turn
way too many
away.
people.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm not saying that
I'm
you
curious
have to
if they
charge.
would. Yeah, I'm curious if the NBA would charge for a volunteer to do something. I don't know. I've never
You
experienced.
can't call it a volunteer. It would have to be called like a disc golf experience
Yeah,
where you get to be a flagger for the day on
yeah,
a pro course.
exactly.
Like, we can't use the word volunteer if you're paying.
I think what's tough is, this pandemic just all of a sudden came and it screwed everything up with the tour, restarting the tour, every other sport that we love. It's going through their, headaches and growing pains with it. But, Maple Hill every year has charged for parking. That's X amount of dollars that continuously came into the event. And you kind of bank on that.
Yeah.
You've been
Why
doing it
wouldn't
for,
you?
What's it been going on since 2003, 2004, potentially? I mean, let's say 16 years of this event going on. You're 16 years worth of, paid parking potentially. So that's money that you figured you were going to get this year. And that could have been the hump of, I had $6,000 out of cash. Now I have $8,000 out of cash. It's a weird spot. People are going to do it. I wish nothing but the best for MVP.
Oh, he's going to get, I think he's
Yeah,
going to get loads of volunteers.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the same. When I just went up to D-Glow, I think every single card is going to have a UDisc Live score. I think holes are going to have 1 to 2 spotters per person. And it's pretty crazy because I don't remember last year if every single hole had 2 spotters, but that's what he's going for this year. Michigan, all the big holes for the most part had just about 2 spotters. And there's a lot of easy areas you can lose discs. But
Very cool.
Maple Hill, like hole 1, dude, you throw into those Christmas trees and you
could
don't
look for a while.
pinpoint. Yeah, I a couple weeks
I
ago
just did it
spent,
today.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago I spent like 45 minutes looking for one of my favorite discs, and it was tucked inside of a Christmas tree,
That's where
kind
they
of on
hardest.
edge. And
Oh, someone asked if it goes to Maple Hill.
Yeah,
directly.
I was just about to respond
money,
to that.
The money
I-
does not go directly to Maple Hill. I can't speak
Yeah.
exactly to that, but the reality
I don't
is,
know it.
I-
I'd love to pick Steve's brain about this, and then
Well,
maybe
I kind of did today.
Yeah.
The reality is this, and I'll just say it: hate it or like it, he's a private I say he. It's a private organization running an event, technically a private event. Okay, what they do with their money, everyone can choose whether to support it or not.
Mhm.
If he's asking for it and he's providing something that somebody wants as a product, then and people want to do that, that's up to them. I don't care where that money goes. I can't say I don't care. If I found out where that money goes and I didn't support
we
it,
do care.
I
but-
wouldn't do it.
yeah.
My point is like I don't have any concerns at this point. That's what I should say. Not that I don't care. I don't have any concerns that it's going anywhere that it shouldn't. I think it's going to be used to benefit the tournament, not to make money profit. It's going to support the people who run the event, as well as the tournament itself. The players are going to benefit. A more enjoyable experience. Okay. So anyways, I think we kind of talked through this a lot.
Yeah.
We could ramble on forever, but I think we
could.
talked through most of the points.
Yeah. Matt, Idlewild's coming up. Who do you got winning it?
Man, I think Paul's going to be there, but after his last performance,
Paul is going to be there, by the way.
no, but I mean like top card,
Yeah.
like when I don't know if he's
Are
going
you hoping to film him?
Well, I was kind of thinking if he makes Chase Card, I was like, it's actually not a bad chance that he does get on Chase Card at some point in 3 rounds.
I'm pretty sure the year he won in 2018, he won it from the Chase Card.
Yeah. And
That's a pretty cool.
that'd be pretty cool to
I
film.
think Central Coast filmed that.
So I think Kevin Jones is going to be a force at this event.
Yeah, he's on fire right
James
now.
Conrad.
Yep.
Typically.
James won it in 2017.
Yeah, typically really plays well there. So I don't know who I'm gonna film or who I'm not, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I will try to post a little bit on my social media, my individual social media. But I'm gonna be super busy. I think we're gonna be editing literally probably as soon as round's done till 3 or 4 in the morning
probably.
every day. So
At least you
Um,
get to sleep in a little bit going into the
I will
Chase
be
Card.
totally
Yeah.
messed up though. I will be
Oh, yeah.
coming back.
Gosh, yeah.
We'll have to see the next show that I come in. But
Yeah.
so I think we talked through everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will say this. It felt like a kind of typical show for the most part, but like our guest was a little different. It wasn't as high
was-
profile
yeah.
in the disc golf world.
It was very interviewy at the beginning, which
Yeah.
normally
We
you know,
understand that.
Normally for podcasts, you're kind of talking about topics with a person that knows about the topics that you're going to talk about. Mike Shu is obviously kind of a local legend around here. It's really cool to hear him talk. Literally, he's got a pretty incredible voice for radio
Welcome
stuff.
to the Nick and
Yeah.
Matt Show.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna pay him to be our new welcome, like EA Sports. It's in the game. We'll find that guy.
So, and then we did
But-
bring some of our segments, but it just
Yeah.
felt a little different. But we appreciate you guys. And I said last week after Kona was on the show, I said it somewhere during the
Oh
show.
yeah.
I said, Kona, because you come on, I bet you we're gonna get another 200 followers this
Yeah.
week.
I'm
And we
curious
didn't
what
even
we're at now.
we didn't even go a full week. We're at Wednesday evening. This is recorded Wednesday evening. We're up to 900. We got over 200 this week. So whether that's thank you Kona or thank you everybody else for enjoying our show, we totally appreciate.
960.
Yeah, we're literally 40
40 followers away from
On-
the big
on YouTube.
1,000
giveaway.
subscriber giveaway.
We did
that we're
not
going to
tease it
do.
in the beginning of the show, did we?
Nope.
Okay, so hopefully the
Because
people.
I don't want people tuning in just for the giveaway.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
So,
Yeah, I do want you to tune
You
in
got to
for the
be
giveaway. Yeah.
when we hit 1,000, then we'll pick a number between 1 and 1,000 and figure out the winner. And I will say this, so it's on record. We were giving away a birdie disc golf game, and this was like show 3 or whatever it was. We did
yeah.
try to reach out to the individual. We could not find a way to do it through YouTube or any other way. There was no contact information. We shouted it out on the next episode that this individual won, and honestly, I forget his name. So go back to this the show after Steve Dodge if you think you might have won.
Yeah,
It's
4
in
or
the
5.
beginning. It's in the beginning of the show. I'm pretty sure. So Steve, the show after Steve Dodge. And listen, and here's the deal: we're gonna give it like another week or two, and then we will do another drawing for the birdie disc golf game.
Yeah.
Okay. So go check out if that was you. You would have had to been in our first. What was it? 500 followers.
Yeah.
So if you're not in our first 500
Yeah, first
followers,
5.
then you're not gonna win it anyways. But Anyways, we appreciate all the support, the listens, the views, the shares, the likes, everything you guys do. It literally inspires us to keep going.
Yeah.
We don't know where
Crazy.
this is going to go.
3 months. We've been doing it 3 months now, and I'm having a fun time doing it. I feel like you're having a fun time doing it. A lot of our listeners that coming back every single week, comments and everything like that. It seems like a lot of people are enjoying it. Matt and I like to
We don't-
talk, so
We don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah, we have no
Literally.
idea.
Next week it's just canceled.
Yeah.
The show's done for good.
We might have merch next week. No, I'm just kidding. We definitely will not have merch next week.
Unless we hire somebody.
Yeah,
We're going to have to
exactly.
pay volunteers to work for us. I mean, they
Yeah,
pay us.
Yeah, they pay us $100 for them to make our shirts.
They-
And in
You can
return,
pay us
they get 2
$100.
sweatshirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can-
Anyways,
okay, we got to go.
everybody, thank you. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. We really appreciate you being on the show. Until next week, guys, we'll see you then.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nick and Matt Show. Be sure to check us out on your favorite social platform and to subscribe on iTunes.